This is the Blank Dive Show. For creators who don't wait for clarity, they move anyway. This isn't about perfection. It's pressure, doubt, deadlines, and building something real with limited resources. It's about momentum when motivation runs out, mindset when the noise gets loud, and making the work, especially when it's uncomfortable. Through raw conversations with filmmakers, writers, musicians, artists, and curators, we talk about showing up, breaking barriers, and turning ideas into action. This is the dive into the unknown, no permission, no safety net, just the work.
Hell yeah, people.
Okay.
Yeah, we are episode 1 of the Blank Dive.
What is up?
Thank you guys for watching. I'm really hoping that this becomes an every Thursday tradition from here on for the rest of your days, people. All right.
Absolutely.
You know, we got an exciting show for you tonight. The chaos of the creator, but we also got so much more in store with you for weeks and months to come. So without further ado, I want to just break down what the Blank Dive is and what this show is all about. It is a show created by creators for creatives. Okay, whether you love art, whether you're just an enthusiast, whatever it may be, this show is for you. Okay.
Absolutely.
When I think of the Blank Dive, I'm thinking of a blank canvas where there's just endless possibilities. What about you guys?
You know, when I think about this, I think when we discussed it the first time, you know, it's a new challenge. It's a new challenge for me. You know, when I think about this, you know, it's something, you know, it's a new dive. It's something else to dive into in my life, you know, in this creative endeavor. You know, it's something new, and it's something I believe that I'm going to enjoy, you know, and I think that's important. Obviously, you know, we gotta enjoy what we're doing, and I do enjoy podcasts, so let's go. For sure.
Yeah.
For me, the blank dive means just getting into any type of topic and just seeing where it goes. Like any type of creative topic, film, TV, drawing, something like that, and we can just dive into it, learn, and whatever else comes about.
Yeah,
you know?
for sure. Definitely.
But I'm excited. I'm excited though for it. I'm excited for this journey and hoping to learn a lot and, you know, just.
It's so exciting to meet new people and talk to new people. It really is. And it's like this whole networking thing. I think all of this wouldn't be possible, you know, now online and getting to meet new people from across the country, you know, across the world potentially is just amazing. And
it's easy nowadays. It's easy. It's very easy.
Social media.
That's it. It's an easy thing, you know.
Well, even going back there, you know, let's just get into it before we jump too deep into this. Let's just break it. You know, let's just break it down.
We can break it down a little bit.
How we know each other, because it's all about that networking as well. I mean, I know Danny's my brother, but Danny, why don't you start off? Who are you?
Well, obviously, I'm your brother. No, yeah, Charlie's brother. A lot of people call me Deacon. I co-host Lantern Ministry. Some of you know me, some of you don't. I hope you go and check that out as well. I'm a musician. You know, a father, husband, a hardworking man, and you know, that pretty much sums me up in a nutshell. You know, it sums me up.
Well, me, I'm not a father, but congrats to you. And I heard you're expecting something else.
Yeah, oh
Spoilers,
yeah, a
spoiler.
grandfather, a grandfather. Yeah, I
Congrats.
forgot to bring that up. Yes, I'm too young to be a grandfather, but hey, it's
You're the unk grandfather.
yeah, man.
A little bit about me. I do comedy. I do content on social media. I try doing music, but it's not the best music. I'm not gonna lie. It was a
Hey, at
fun
least you tried.
experience. But I tried. Yeah, I
It's a
got
win
one
it.
song out there. I do some writing and drawing, and I'm looking to do one of my first film, like not on content on social media, but film this year probably.
Awesome,
For sure.
awesome. Well, my name is Charles Marinaro. I'm a writer, director, producer, actor, an author, as well as a festival curator. I run the Catskill International Film Festival. In the past, I ran the Hudson Valley International Film Festival.
Oh yeah.
If you haven't been there, it is definitely a good time. One of the things I'm most excited about with this show is hopefully I will get better at social media. I am terrible at it. I've done a lot of projects over the years, and a lot of people, like, if you've seen them, you're like, oh, that was awesome. Where else can I see your stuff? Or are you on Instagram? Are you on here? I'm like, I'm on Facebook. And
Yeah.
they're like looking at me crazy. I'm like, there's just so much potential, endless potential that needs to be explored when it comes to social media to get your stuff out there. So I think
It's a
having
gate.
these
It's a gate wide open. It is. It's open.
having
you
these
know?
conversations, I think, is going to open great doors, and I'm wonderfully excited about it. You know,
Absolutely.
Very
For
thrilled.
sure.
you know,
I've been
I
wanting to do a podcast for a long time. I was like, yo, this podcast stuff is jumping off. I wanna really get out there and try it, but I didn't know who to do it with.
I'm going to be honest with you, though. I'm going to be honest. Like, if you're doing a podcast about stuff that you have a heart and you care about, that's where it's at. Because
Yeah.
I've diving in to multiple different podcasts since the pandemic started in 2020. I've probably done 3 different podcasts where I enjoyed the conversations, yet at times I felt like I was doing something that didn't quite match what I wanted to do, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
I was at times I was talking to like real estate agents and, talking about business, talking politics. As fun as that might be, that's not what I want to be known for. I want to talk about things that matter most to me, and that's art. I
Yeah.
live
I
and
agree.
breathe art every single day, and it's what brings me joy, and it's what makes me crazy. All right. So that's really what it comes down to. But talking about crazy, we all have a crazy start in how we began working together. And like, I just want to say off the record, like, as a child, I probably was like 7 years old. I remember one of my earliest memories was like, wow, 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 in the background of one of the Deacons' mixtape songs. I was making
Mixtapes. It was the
on
mixtapes.
a tape. And it's
Oh,
like, how far have we come
yeah.
since then? Like, for real.
Gosh.
We can go
Techniques
from
and
tape,
turntables.
or even it started off for me, like when I first started making
Yeah.
music, which I kind of regret. It started off on a karaoke machine.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Mm.
I
Where I
think
was-
most. I think most artists. I think probably all artists, musician wise, have started off on a karaoke machine.
I was gonna say, isn't that where a lot of them started, with like a karaoke machine and bringing it around to like
Yeah,
right outside
carrying
and
it around.
Well, maybe you know what? Maybe that was that could have been the beginning, the big start. I never really put 2 and 2 together, but yeah, I remember that was
XDX.
that was
Yeah.
like Charlie X. That was oh my God, don't look it up. But
I remember. Yeah, I remember. I remember when we were really getting into it. It was at that little apartment I had on Seneca Street. Remember that one? And we had the apartment. I had the apartment, and you were visiting. And I had, I'm recording, tape decks, and I had this whole system set up. I had some techniques, and I had my CD player. I had the aux drive, aux cord connected, and I'm putting beats in, downloading beats, and I'm recording on a tape deck. and I'm pushing tapes. I'm pushing tapes on the street. I mean, because we were we were working with what we had. It was fun, but it was extremely fun. Like,
It
I
was a different
enjoyed that.
time.
Yeah, I enjoyed that so much. I
You
remember
get
that. I
that
remember
you
that.
had that lighter flick in the beginning of your mixtape songs, like that.
Yeah, there was all kinds of sounds in the beginning.
Before Danny was the deacon, he was someone totally different. I mean, this is what he probably sounded like in the beginning of each song. Wait, if you didn't hear it,
What you looking up? I know you're looking for something.
nah, you heard a lot of gunshots, and
We'll get it.
Oh, yeah.
and even too, like going back, like when I first met Benny, like we had a very interesting introduction. First time on set, a line between all things. This is almost the climax of the film. Very interesting stuff. So you remember this, right?
Yeah, I remember.
So yeah, Charles is the director. Why is he in a dog cage?
But when I seen that, it was great.
Listen,
Yeah.
let me tell you. I hit Teresa on Facebook because I was like, one of my friends said, "Yo, you should start getting into acting." I was like, all right. I started doing that. I hit her up. She said, "Come on by." And then I go up there and I'm waiting in the car and someone's across from me looking at me. I'm like, am I here at the right place? And then she's just like ignoring me, even though she sees me. Funny. Awesome. Teresa's awesome, by the way. And then I go inside because it looked like she was going inside and other people were. And then Charles is inside of a dog cage getting...
That was the abandoned building, right?
By water. I'm like, what is this?
That was the abandoned building, right?
Yeah, the abandoned building.
Yeah.
So I mean, you got to really take this into scope. You pull up. You've never been there before. You're going into an abandoned building.
Yeah.
And the director is in a cage getting saturated with a hose.
The
That's
funny
what
part
shows you
is,
guys,
I
it's
didn't
the
know. I
love,
was like,
man.
they were like,
Love
I was
for
like,
art.
who's the director?
That's it.
I was like, who's the director? And then they all point over there to the cage. I'm like, what is he doing?
You gotta be
He's
in it to
directing.
win. Yeah, man. It's such an awesome thing though, because
Yeah.
all the projects we worked on over the years, I feel like there's been such a genuine natural evolution,
Yeah, for sure.
progression in the material. Either they've gotten richer and like you said, like you're going from like karaoke machines to tape decks to CDs to digital, from movies with like a very limited matchstick crew to much larger crews. It's amazing where we've came from to where we're going, and like that's one of the reasons why I want to do the show is so many more people out there. There's so much more potential to link with other people. So
Yeah,
For sure.
exciting stuff, guys. I mean, we're here now. The topic of the hour, okay? The chaos of the creator.
For sure.
A lot of people, I've been doing films now for around 15 years, and there's a lot of misconceptions regarding that timeline. When people think of a movie, right? Or a director that's been doing it for 15 years. If you don't know me and you see me at these festivals and winning awards or running events or publishing books, a lot of people they have this assumption that I got some money or fame or fortune of some sort. I even get people reaching out to me asking for money, and I'm like,
Gotta get that loan.
listen, I'm kind of broke. And then there's those that know me and they know exactly what my finances are like, unfortunately. And they're like, why are you still doing that?
You need to hold something.
It's been 50. Yeah, it's been 15 years. You're still not making a living making these projects. Like, what are you doing it for? And the truth is, it is chaotic, because though these projects bring me a lot of stress, not just the film or the book or whatever, the festivals, they bring me tons and tons of stress in the moment. And a lot of people look at me on set and they're like, you always look pissed off. And it's like, time is money and it's a lot of pressure. But they have no idea that I'm having the time of my life in that moment. Like, I live for this art, even if it is stressing me out and it's driving me freaking mad. I don't know. Do you guys feel like that? Like sometimes it drives you crazy, but
Yeah, absolutely. We've talked about it, I think a few times, but a lot of people don't realize, like, even with my other podcast, Lantern Ministry, and they don't realize even how that started. Like, where my mental was at. Like, and then you get your base, the people that are following you and the people that message you, and they they're asking how you doing and when's the next episode, and that feels real good. But you also get those that look at you as if um you're somehow self-righteous, or you're talking down to them, and my whole podcast is about my personal journey through life. That's what it's about. And I get thrown back at times because I'm like, do you realize, like, where mentally, like, I was at even when this began, where I'm at, during this process, through the last few years, like the ups and the downs, and the stresses that comes with. I mean, I've had 30 surgeries during this time frame of my other podcast. And it's like, so when people, I think when I get, like, the criticism, of that people think you're talking down to them, all I'm trying to do is give kind of, like, helpful advice of things that help me and have helped me, along my way
Yeah.
in life. And that's all I'm trying to do. And I think, it comes across to people differently. And ultimately, that's, the arts have helped me to get out of those slumps, to get out of my own way at times. They have helped me through this journey, whether it be me talking to people through my podcast or music. Ultimately, those things have helped me, and people don't, not a lot of people do, but a lot of people don't understand that. Like, you know what I mean? That these things help me more than I believe I'm helping others. You know what I mean? It's a fact. The arts.
Yeah.
I hear that. When you said the chaos of the creator, I don't know why, but my mind it went to Frankenstein. If you guys can relate to that, like it just was like
A little bit.
Frankenstein.
It's a
There's like
beautiful tragedy, really, in the end.
exactly like there's this mad scientist who was like, I guess he wants to create a new human or bring it back to life, and it's genius, but it's so crazy. And then what he went through to do that seemed very crazy. And then
Yeah.
he created life, technically, if I'm
Yeah.
not mistaken.
Life from death. And
Yeah.
it's like it's a wild scenario, because I know, like, there's a lot of sacrifices we make as creators. And whether it's a financial sacrifice or an emotional sacrifice or even just your time, people don't realize how valuable time truly is.
Yeah.
Over the
Absolutely.
years, I've sacrificed going to really good friends' weddings, you know, family events. I've put my own health on pause because I
Yeah.
was in the middle of a project that's going to take 10 weeks straight. There's a lot of things. You're talking about sleepless nights. You're up till like 24 hours to make sure that some of these things are getting executed properly. So, like, that's kind of
Absolutely.
madness,
Yeah.
especially if you're burning the candle at one end. But one of the
Yeah.
things is, I think we were talking about it a few nights ago, and the idea of, like, taking a break, right?
Yeah.
Hmm.
What should we take a break? The breaks are necessary. And my biggest fear in life at a specific time was the fear that if I'm to take a break from these creative endeavors, you know, can I ever catch up? Will I, like, lose faith? Will the people around my circle that are a part of it go on to their own things and disappear? Like,
Yeah.
and that's where that was a challenging thing for me, to, even though all this chaos is, driving me mad and I love it at the same time. But sometimes, like, yeah, maybe I should take a break. But then the fear of that silence
Yeah.
terrifies me.
Just stopping completely, just stopping. Yeah. And I get that too. You know what I mean? And I think when we were talking about that, it's, and I think I said, when we talk about breaks and then we look at our lives and we're like, are we really ever breaking? It's like, and then you brought up the point, why take the break from the things you love? You know what I mean? Why take a break from the things, like, for myself, why take a break from the things that are helping me? you know,
Yeah.
to come out of really dark places. And you got to be, I guess, you got to be really picky and choosy of what you're breaking. You know what I mean? What you're taking a break from, because if you don't, be picky and choosy, I believe you could burn out. You can get overwhelmed, and I think you could slow almost your progress down without breaking at times, because sometimes you got to kind of rejuvenate, and that's kind of how I feel about it. You got to kind of rejuvenate, and so you can pour out some of your best work, and that's kind
Yeah.
of how I view it. It's kind of taking a step back from certain things. Like, we're all busy, and it's almost impossible for anybody to get a true break through life.
Yeah.
Mm,
I feel it.
I'm
Yeah,
totally on board with what both of you said. I feel like you guys are more connected. I do feel like sometimes breaks can be necessary though. Like if I take a break,
absolutely,
I
absolutely.
could reevaluate and then try to get better. I get to look back at what I did and what I was doing wrong so I could go further with my art and with my goals that I want to achieve. If that makes any sense, I don't know.
No,
Oh, it makes perfect sense. I think
perfect. Yeah.
that maybe I didn't there's I guess I didn't clarify it enough on my end, but the idea for me is like, I want to say never stop, but don't stop. Like that's like my whole belief. Like I don't want to, though everything I do I don't post and I don't publish out there for the universe to see. So when I'm
Yeah.
saying like not breaking really, I'm I might switch gears if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So like I don't necessarily when it comes to a break in my mind, if I break, I get lost in all the chaos that life has to offer. And that's the
Yeah.
chaos I don't want to deal with.
Yeah. You
The
just switch
chaos,
into other
the
things.
chaos of
It's
things you can't control. Like I'm in control of my creativity. So when I say don't stop or don't take a break, I'm switching gears. So I might be writing a screenplay, and if I get into a bump in the road there, I might switch off to writing a book or synopsis or planning a next podcast episode, or you know what I mean, or working on the festival, like switching gears in that sense where you're still always being productive.
yeah.
But if I run into a wall financially with a film, like right now I would love more than anything to jump head first, dive in to doing a new movie. I have a lot of ideas, I have screenplays. The issue is financially. I'm in post production of Where the High Ends. Um, I have to make sure, because it's my obligation as a producer and a director, to make sure that movie has a wonderful premiere and goes to festivals afterwards. So I have an
Absolutely.
obligation to make sure that it's larger than life, and that's going to cost some money.
Yeah.
So I know that's a possibility. I can't just run full force and continue doing that financially and even mentally. But what I can do is still be creative
Yeah.
and in one way or another.
Yeah.
So, that's where I'm saying like the never stop and like the breaks, because this is the stuff that brings me joy, and the stuff that I don't want to focus on is all the bumbling madness in my brain, like
No, just the
family
craziness
issues,
in
drama,
general.
depression. That's
So
stuff
it's
I don't
not
want to deal with.
necessarily a break from like, oh, I'm doing a movie, right? I'm doing movies. I'm gonna take like a 2 to 3 year break. It's more like I'm gonna take a break and switch to something else. Is that what you're saying?
I think, yeah, like I do believe that is like, if, for me, everybody's different. So everybody has their own reasons why they do what they do. For me, it's like I'm doing what resources I have that have provided that I can get, that I can obtain. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So if I don't have the financial resources or the time allotment to do a feature film, I'm aware of that. And at one point in my life, I wasn't. So what would happen is I would go from one project to the next, to the next, to the next, and I would release every picture I took. I would release multiple trailers all at once. I would do whatever almost too quick before I ever had time to react to it. And now
Yeah.
I'm a little more cautious of what I put out there in the universe, because everything I want, at a certain age, people stop. This is another thing too. Age. All three of us, none of us are old men. Though I feel like an unk.
Hmm.
Like I, we're not old men. However,
No.
at a certain age, people stop giving you a pat on the back because when I started doing films in my early 20s, people were like, "Awesome job, man," and da 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 da. No one is going to tell me at my age now, like they're going to tell me it's good if it's good, but they're not going to give me like phony, you
Yeah.
know,
That pat
praise.
on the back, that fake pat
Yeah,
on the back,
that won't happen.
Yeah, no, then it won't. It'll never happen. It'll be expected. I mean, it's almost like you know, I had an album, dropping that Why Not Me album, and it was I was announcing it for what 3 months. I was announcing this album coming out, and so everybody's expecting this album to drop, and my computer completely crapped the bed. It went down, shut down. I lost every bit of my material that I was working on. Yeah, big time. And I didn't have it backed up. I never had none of it backed up. And that was the biggest mistake that I made, was not backing up my material. There's about 18 tracks on the album. But at the end of the day, people ain't gonna, people aren't gonna just be like, don't worry about it. They're gonna expect that album to drop still. And they're gonna still want that album. Just the other day, I was asked about that album. When is it gonna drop? And it's like, so I have to, no matter what, and I feel like that this drive inside to make sure I complete and finish, re-record everything and finish this album, because people, they don't understand. Like you said, you're not going to just get that easy, quick break anymore. Like, oh, don't worry about it. No, it becomes expected when you've been pumping and pumping and pumping. People expect, you know what I mean? They're going to expect that album to drop, and you're not going to get any kind of break on that.
But what do you feel about the statement, that ever golden statement out there that everything happens for a reason? What if everything happens for a reason, huh?
No, I think that was a mistake on my end. I believe that was a big mistake on my end. I never break the. I never, backed anything up. I mean, and that was on me. And I want that album. You know what I mean? I want that. Like, and I was like really, really upset when I lost that. And I'm like, but I could get it back. Because first off, I mean, I have notebooks and notebooks full of the lyrics, and it just takes time. You know what I mean? It takes a lot of time to record an album. I mean, any artist will tell you that. I mean, movie writer, it takes a lot of time, behind the work, but it was very frustrating. But no, I don't believe like everything happens for a reason, because there was no good reason for that. It just delayed it, and maybe now that I have to do it, I'll tweak things and make it even better. So I mean, that's the only reason that I could see is that I'll make it better now.
Yeah.
So
I
what
mean,
inspires you to keep going?
What inspires me to keep going, it's just my who I am as a person. It's this drive I have that I want to make sure, like, I want to make sure that I'm doing something that in my eyes I'm doing the most that I can. I don't want to like feel as if I'm not doing anything in life. I don't want to feel like that. I felt like that, years ago in my past, where I was like, I was on the streets, and life was just horrible. I was depressed constantly. I wasn't, doing any good, and there was a time where I was straight up homeless. You know what I mean? It's like, and during those, I don't want to ever feel like that, like again, where you feel like you're hopeless. You don't, and back then I didn't have what I have now. So at this point in my life, it's like I have what I need to make it happen, and I'm not in that state I was back then. So why not make it happen now? I have what I need. You know what I mean? And it's this drive I have to like want. I want it. There's a want inside of me that deeply wants to succeed in the things I know that I can do. You know what I mean? It's
Totally that part. Like I want to do it. Like I tried being like, all right, I'm just gonna quit, just work my 9 to 5, save up, and then something just brings me back. You're like, yo, post a video. Like, let's do
yeah.
this. Or I
Yeah,
start writing on my phone. I'm like, oh, this is kind of a interesting idea. Like, what? Why am I writing? What about? I thought I was quitting, and I'm not quitting.
You can't. You
Yeah.
can't. Something
oh
pulls you back.
yeah.
Something pulls you back to that thing, whatever it may be. And I say a lot of times it's the people, but there's nothing quite like it to me than having someone reacting to your work, whatever that work is, whether it's a song, whether that's someone laughing at your joke on stage at your
Absolutely.
comedy show. Like when you're seeing a movie theater and like there's like a little tear streaming down
Yeah,
someone's cheek in the movie theater from watching your movie, like there's something like it's power. I feel like I
yeah,
got like magic, like I'm magical. Like they're
absolutely.
laughing at my writing, they're crying at my writing, like they're
I
feeling
remember,
shocked.
yeah.
There's nothing quite like I even get
Uh,
goosebumps. Like by the time I get to the premiere, I'm not even watching the movie. I'm watching the audience. I want to see what they think, you know?
Absolutely. And you feed off of that, man. I remember the first time I ever performed live, and I'll never forget how it happened. You remember Greg, right? Greg was a good buddy of mine, but and and he still is. And he was great at on computers and digital back then. He was really good at ripping CDs. And so we were at this bar, Marcion's, and the headliner dropped out, and I was there, and I'm overhearing everything. And the guy knew I was an artist. He knew that I wrote, and he asked me, would you be available tomorrow night? And I remember it was Thursday because it was Friday when I was performing. And he goes, could you got any material? And I didn't have anything recorded, nothing. I had zero recorded. And I told him, oh yeah, I got everything. I already got it on CD. I had nothing on CD, but because of that opportunity, it was almost like that moment where it's like you got to capitalize on those kind of moments. And I remember it because first off, it was my first paid gig. You know what I mean? So you're getting paid to do it. And now I had no material, but I'm telling the guy, yeah, I'm good. And I went that night, and I went to my buddy Greg's house, and we sat in the studio throughout the whole entire night. We've all, I mean, through the late night hours, and we recorded an 8-track album. And I went there the next day. I gave him the material. He burned a bunch of CDs, so I was able to shout. And I'll tell you, being able to get on the microphone and rip eight of these songs, okay, and to flow 8 of these songs out, and to see the reaction, the people were so hyped, and it felt great. You know what I mean? It was just this satisfaction. You know what I mean? I didn't need to make a dime that night. I could tell you, I didn't need to make a penny, because just the reaction was so fulfilling inside that people were enjoying it. You know what I mean? And I was feeding off of that. You know what I mean? I felt like the Cookie Monster, and
Uh,
I was just eating that up. It feels good as an artist, to get that kind of feedback.
I felt like palms are sweaty.
Oh man, no, there was none of that, dude. I felt
Mom's
great.
spaghetti.
No, I didn't feel that. I felt
well, on
great.
well, on the flip side of that, like with Benny, with you on stage, so like I hear from a lot of my comedian friends that like there's nothing greater than getting on stage and getting the reaction from the crowd. But what if
Yeah.
you are on stage, right?
Oof.
And the crowd is just looking back at you.
Yeah.
That's when it starts to feel like quicksand. I'm not gonna lie. It starts to be
Hmm.
like, oh, I thought I was doing good, and I'm not. I'm doing
Uh,
horrible. People are staring at you. You're
Right
like
there.
staring at me. That,
Right there.
but
and then what happens at that moment? Like, do you just like you're like,
a
I'll
lot
be
of
better
people have
next
the
time, or
opportunity to like, hey, I'll end it here or something like that. Some people will work through it and be like, because one thing they say in comedy is bombing is part of it. Like everyone's gonna bomb sometime.
Oh yeah.
oh, I
That's
believe
a
it.
fact.
Everyone's gonna bomb
That's
sometime.
I advertised this CD. Okay, this was what the Torn Pages project. I advertised this, and I was all over social media. And I guess what you said, everything happens for a reason. When I was sharing this, the last time I shared this album it was through Facebook, and I shared it, and I lost my whole Facebook account. This album flopped straight on its face. Okay, and that feeling is horrible. Like terrible feeling when you pour your work into something and it completely flopped, because the album that I dropped a few months previous to that did great, and then that one flopped on its face, man. It felt
Yeah.
horrible, you know.
I don't think that album flopped in the sense of like it I feel like
Yeah.
the right time, you know
it's
what I mean?
it felt like it flopped. It felt like it
Yeah.
flopped.
You
It's
know, I don't know, I feel like the same way. I have the same feeling. Like
it's
even with my book, my first book I put out, I got a lot of when you tell a personal story, people are really into it. You know, I never realized that as an
yeah.
author. So when I wrote a memoir, everybody wanted to know the story. They were curious. I got people's, their emotions to move, and I got a lot of reactions. It went on the bestseller list. And then I spent a lot of time building a world to try something brand new because I feel like that's what you should do always. You should always try to venture out. And I went above and beyond. I mean, I rented out a castle for the
Yeah.
opening. Like
It
I
was
rented out
great.
a fucking castle, okay? And when I tell you, I was getting nervous. I started promoting this event for a book launch for Reign of Grandeur. It was like sometime last year. And when I was starting to promote the event, hundreds of people started responding. Hundreds. Now,
Yeah.
I do film festivals and I do movie premieres, and I have never got the reaction like that. So I started getting nervous. I started literally shivering because the guy at the castle, I told him, he's like, how many people about? I said, like 40. And
There
like
was a lot.
when I
A lot of
posted the
people.
event, on Facebook originally, hundreds of people said they were going. And it was getting like people were sharing it by like thousands. They were sharing it everywhere. So it was like, this place can't accommodate that. So, anyways, that's a good problem to have, right? So,
Yeah.
anyways, I bought a shit ton of books and I sold out of Reign of Grandeur in 2 minutes. Like
Oh
I
yeah.
sold out in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And, I was at a high, so high in that moment. I was like, this is exactly what I want. And like my mind is already thinking about like the sequel and a trilogy, and I'm still in that mindset.
Oh yeah.
Yet something happened that I wasn't expecting. Silence. Like I got some reviews on the book and stuff like that, but I think my promotion wasn't where it should have been in the aftermath, the follow-up. Like I was like chasing people down to just get a review. And as an
Yeah.
author, it's not like a stage for the most part. You need those, physical keyboard warriors pushing your project or writing a review. And without those reviews, it's almost like the book never existed. Because
Yeah.
you don't get as an author, you don't get that reaction in person. I'm
Yeah.
not like
Absolutely.
sitting beside people as they're reading my book. So like
Yeah.
it's a sucky feeling to not have, and there's a lot of money and time and effort that went into that.
Yeah.
And then like I was talking to a friend and they're like, so are you still working on the sequel to that? I thought you said that the book didn't get the reaction you wanted. I'm like, well, if you're saying it in the sense of the reaction I wanted feedback.
Yeah. That's
What do
it.
we, as an artist, I feel like we all want some sort of, I don't want to say pat on the back, but we want some recognition, even if it's negative reaction.
Yeah. Yeah. For
At
sure.
least you're making someone feel something. Because there's some people that are provocateurs that their art isn't made for like, they're meant to shock. They're meant to make you feel something.
Yeah.
And the silence killed me with that. I was like, do I even go forward? And the answer is yes. I'm still writing the sequels because I like this story and it brings me joy. But I really, I need to figure out a way still to push that because I feel like, we all feel that way in whatever art form.
It's
Are we
my old
wasting our time?
friend.
Yeah, like, did I waste my time?
Oh yeah.
Did
It's
I waste my life?
speaking into the void and stuff. I mean, that still happens even, even with my own podcast, you know what I mean? And the Lantern Ministry, where I'll record, and there's times where, I kind of throw my hands up, but again, it's 3 years now going, and I just there's nothing in me that would ever stop. You know what I mean? I can't. But that
I
speaking into the void
That's
at times
brave, man.
where,
That's brave, real brave. I'm telling you,
well, no,
because I,
it's
I
a
did it, and
long,
I can't do it. I like one of
yeah,
the reasons why I decided to make this a pre-recorded, show, is the idea that if things are going to flop, they're going to flop in their own merit, and we can kind of
yeah,
re-record if we need to. But
yeah,
the idea of having live shows with a live audience, I couldn't take my mind off of certain things. When I was doing the live shows of the Thursday Exchange, I got in my own head so much that I would actually stop talking. I looked up at the viewer counter of,
yeah,
viewership that would like come and go, and like there would be times I'm talking for like 3 minutes straight, and there are zero people watching.
yeah,
And my mindset wasn't on the idea that, well, maybe someone will watch tonight, or the reruns, and like it will be shared and people will see it on their own time. I couldn't get out of my own head in that moment. I was like, there's no one watching me. What am I doing this for?
yeah,
Like, that's the point of a live show, is the interaction with the audience,
yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
So do
I've
you?
never, I don't think I've ever done a live show with Lantern Ministry. Never. I do all pre-recorded and then I release it and I put it out there. But when I mean like speaking to the void is when you're getting like when you don't get any reaction, when you're getting no feedback, which has gotten a lot better through time, where people, you have you have your people that have that have stuck. They've stuck with me from the very beginning, and I appreciate each and every one of them. But it is hard at times. It's super hard at times because, again, we could become our worst enemies. Like, we
That's
could,
what I
we're our worst enemies at times, and we could pick ourselves apart, and we could mentally give up. We could mentally drop out, and that's the part I have the hardest time doing. And I think there's certain things I do. There's certain things I say, even in my own podcast, that I'm holding myself accountable. Like I'm telling the audience, that I'm not going anywhere and I'll stay tuned in. I'm not going to leave. And I think sometimes I say that not to, not to make them feel like I ain't going anywhere, but to make me feel like to put me kind of on the fire to say you ain't going anywhere. Keep building on it and never stop. And because sometimes it could, man, it could kill you as an artist to pump things out there and get zero feedback. Nobody's talking, nobody's commenting, and that's just it's a hard feeling as an artist. Period. And the best the
under
best
pressure.
advice I could ever give on that is just keep going on it. Because you don't know, and consistency I think is everything. I think being persistent, consistent, and continuing to just keep moving at your art. Don't stop. You never know. You just don't know. When that opportunity is gonna arise. You
So
know.
you, so you don't sit and linger on all the negative thoughts and stuff like that. You find a way to move forward. Is that what you're saying?
Sometimes you do linger and you sit and think about it a lot. Sometimes
Okay.
I'm recording and I'm thinking about things.
Oh,
But it's that drive to not want to quit. You know what I mean? Not want to stop. I love doing what I do. I do. I love my audience. I love, the interactions. I love the messages that I get from my audience. People that message me randomly and ask how you doing, been thinking about you, when is the music coming out? I love that stuff. You know what I mean? It means something to me. So it's that extra fuel, you know what I mean, that keeps us going, I believe, as artists sometimes is that interaction with people, that confirmation that people are listening, they're watching, and they're enjoying what you're doing.
so even if it's at least one person, you're like you kind of use that to inspire you.
Absolutely. I actually say that. Charlie could verify. I've said that many times. I said, even if there's one, and that means something to
Yeah.
me, even if
I,
there's one person
I
that
have a
I could help out by just giving out, helping them some way throughout my own journey in life that helped them some way, it's worth it to me. And I mean that, and I stick with that to the end.
I like
It
that.
it cost me nothing to get on here and record.
That's
It
true.
Yeah.
cost me
I have
nothing.
to not debate that argument. I find it, as an artist and as somebody that you have people that follow you, whether it's friends, family, whoever it is,
A lot of strangers.
supporters, people that add. But the thing is, it I would be lying if I said it didn't make you bitter at times
Mhm.
and want to say more than you want. Like you want to say like this is gonna be my bad bitch energy. We're into the new year, guys,
Yeah.
and a lot of people
Call
are
it
like,
crash out.
yeah, like I'm about to crash out this year because
Nah.
a lot of people, a lot
Yeah.
of people are gonna get it this year, and I promise you this.
Yeah.
A lot of people are gonna get it this year, and you name it. If I'm in an establishment, I get turned away because of the color of my skin. It sounds
That's
so
wild.
stupid. Yeah, I had a story, guys. Benny and I and a few other friends, we went out on New Year's Eve.
Wild.
Really stupid story, but what a really wonderful restaurant. I like a lot, and for whatever reason, they didn't want to serve my kind. Uh, it sounds so
I don't know
funny.
if it was that
I
exactly.
mean, they said this is for exclusive one race only, and I wasn't that race.
uh,
Anyway,
Sneak in the
so
back door. I'm not gonna-
yeah, so but I'm just saying, like, the idea to not call people out, right?
yeah.
And I feel like sometimes being honest is something that us as artists we hold back a lot. We bite our tongue because we're
Yeah.
afraid of losing supporters. Um, like I'm one of those people that I'm not going to talk politics because I know it's an easy way to divide people up, especially if you're trying to sell a product like your film or your book or whatever. Why do it? But
Yeah.
there's also this pressure to be nice when you're not being treated nicely.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why? You know what I mean? Like, that's not what I'm in it. I'm not here to be a sap either. And I think there's a lot of this internal pressure from even like the industry or whatever. Like, there's a specific way you need to do stuff, certain rules. There's this gatekeeping that happens, like a certain
Mm.
way you have to do certain things. And I'm a firm believer that you can make your own path and you can do things unconventional. For years, I've had people reach out to me and be like, yeah, you don't have the budget for this, or you can't do this without X, Y, and Z. And sometimes you have to make it work, and don't let your own self-doubt and being too nice to just let these people like run train, on you and tell you can't do something. Like, I have a way with words. I'm sorry, guys. But
Yeah.
because self-doubt really is what it's all about. Like we let
It's,
our own self-doubt, we compare ourselves sometimes to
I know
someone
exactly how you're
who has
feeling.
more.
I know exactly how you're feeling because I did a post after someone had passed away, and it was a popular guy. I'm not gonna put the name out there, but I did a post, and it was kind of a little derogatory, I guess, and people didn't take it as comedy because that's what I do, comedy. And I was getting reactions and stuff, but it was like, yo, why would you do this? We hate you. You shouldn't. And then I had to go back and linger in my own thoughts and be like, yo, F them. This is me. This is the comedy I
Yeah.
do. And that it's like a duality. I had those thoughts, and then the other thoughts are like, yo, you don't talk about people passing away. That's the line, or there you got to find the line, like the gray line that
yeah.
people talk about all the time of, is this appropriate or is this inappropriate?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's we all like I think all of us, every one of us. I mean, whether it's writing books, movies, comedy, music, like there's been many times where I'm creating an album and typically, I try to stay away from what's going on. Like I guess when if I got beef with someone and I got problems with them, and I could torch them through lyrics. You know what I mean? I could say it all, spill the beans. You know what I mean? And basically like I'm dissing them, and it's really not what I want to do when I really sit back and I'm like, and I think about it because I'm like, I'm not looking to hurt anybody. You know what I mean? And not only could I hurt them, I could hurt my own reputation and bury them at the same time. And I don't know. It's almost like that way, it's that self-censorship almost, like we got to censor ourselves at times. Um, pick
We
and
do.
choose, I guess. Not all the time. I don't say censor at all, really, but sometimes for ourselves, we got to kind of censor what we're doing. For reasons, there's always reasons behind why I guess we say or don't say the things that we say. I
Yeah.
don't know if that makes any sense.
It does. I mean, we do I want to say self sabotage, but we do with censorship to to protect people's feelings and whatnot. The only
Yeah.
thing I say about art is one thing. I believe true art, people push that gray line. Whatever field you're in, they try to think outside the box. They try to talk about stuff that's initially taboo. Okay, like
Yeah.
that's kind of where it's at. And I feel like if you're not kind of pushing the line in your music, you're making like elevator stuff, or even as a writer in any sort, if you're really worried about what people think, I mean, if you're getting I always heard the statement, if you're not getting any reactions, even negative ones, is your
Not
stuff
better.
even, if is it even worth watching, because you don't really have a point of view? And
Yeah.
I don't know, like, I think the one thing that I could say for the whole censorship conversation is consequence. Just know what you say, what you write, what you publish and put out there into the universe. There's consequences for it. They might not
Yeah.
be financial consequences, but it might be one person, just fuck you. They don't want
Yeah.
to. They don't want to listen to you no more.
That's
But
it.
that one fuck you might turn into 20 likes from someone else.
Yeah.
And at the same time, also, you might hurt someone's feelings. Like when I wrote my book Metamorphosis, I was playing tug of war in my mind, fighting with myself, going crazy. Should I publish it? Should I not? And to this day, I still have those thoughts. I'm
Yeah.
very proud of the book, but a lot of people, in the aftermath, I received emails from certain people that were, when you're writing a story about your interpretation of a moment, everybody has a point of view, and sometimes those point of views don't match. They don't think the same thing happened, or their experience in a certain situation in your life doesn't make sense to them. So they have a different viewpoint, and they're entitled to their own story. But like I said, if I was never to write that story, I wouldn't have to worry about those quote unquote uncomfortable situations. However, those uncomfortable situations also help me bridge the gap in other relationships where people now have a better understanding of some of the challenges I went through and trials and tribulations, even if it made a few other people uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it always doesn't work like that, but you can never make everyone happy. And I think that is what I'm trying to get at. I'm tired of artists. That's my bad bitch energy of the year. I'm tired of artists trying to make everybody happy,
Yeah.
everybody kumbaya. I don't want to divide people up in any sort of way, but
Yeah.
also make art worth feeling, people. Don't
Yeah.
just publish everything out there that it's in your mind. Work on it, try to get better at it, and also speak your truth.
Yeah.
Oh,
For sure.
I think that's like the chaos of it all, like going through your head back and forth, and then you finally put it out there with some I'm gonna put it out there, but before you put it out there, that's the chaos. Like, how am I gonna do this? What's the budget? Da, 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 da. Okay, now let's think about the next part. Oh, is this too much? Is this too far? Is this not too far? What's going on? What am I doing? And
I,
you just get really stuck with all that jumbled in, like finance,
it's people,
lighting.
dude. People get in your head too.
Yeah,
It's
people
people
get in your
too.
head too. People
I'm
will
telling you,
get in your head.
I was early in my filmmaking, starting in filmmaking. I was told by someone at a film premiere, "Oh, your movie reminds me of like a Quentin Tarantino film. Your last two movies very Quentin Tarantino-esque." And I actually like Quentin Tarantino, but
Yeah.
it made me feel some sort of way. And then someone else told me, "Oh, they're so violent. Anytime what's going on in your mind? Are you just a really violent person?" So them telling me that, I'm like, no, I'm not. Like, I don't hunt. I don't, fish. Like, I don't, you know, I'm not like a violent. I don't fight. I try to avoid conflict.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, I don't know. Those was the movies that at the time I liked. So, in those people getting in my head, I actually wrote a film, Irony of Catharsis. Like a dramedy romance movie. Now, I liked the movie and all that, but it was something that
It's a great
at the
movie.
time I was pushed into that, I felt mentally, because I
Yeah.
felt I had to prove something to people that didn't really matter. I had to prove to them that I wasn't this guy that they thought I was. And you know what
Yeah.
happened when they saw the movie? They're like, man, you should make another crime drama. Like,
But
No.
you were
it was like,
expressing how you felt at the time
yeah,
through art.
exactly.
That's what art is. It's you're expressing yourself with this creative device, film, TV, drawings, paintings. And then you're trying to get people to understand your story, and you're like communicating with them so
Yeah.
they understand you. So even if like people were in your head and you thought it was a bad idea, that's how you felt. People were in my head. They told me I need to do this or get away from this, and I put this out, and that's what happened because this is how you felt at the time. I'm not
Yeah.
trying to be preachy, but that it kind of happens that way sometimes.
A lot of people, like like one person go to after the show and said, I was offended by this joke.
Yeah.
Or yeah, man, that wasn't it. You'll have one person give you one opinion, like that isn't it, even though that was like the funniest set of your life. Because I'm trying to get
Yeah.
past that mindset that one audience might be entirely different than the next. Like I'm telling you, you could show the same movie at 5 different film festivals,
Yeah.
and five
5
different
different
crowds
reactions.
will they'll interpret it differently in the masses. Like one group will just say silent and get up and like shake their heads. The other ones will be like loving every moment of it. So I'm trying not to get in my head with the little things, but that's
Absolutely.
that vulnerability of the creation process that drives us all nuts in the end. But
Picking and choosing too,
love it.
we got to do a lot of picking and choosing our battles when it comes to art. All of us do. I mean, we all do because we're all thinking. You know what I mean? And you're thinking the process, and the process you're going to pick and choose. You know what I mean? What you want out there, what you don't want out there, how you envision it, what direction you're trying to go as well with your craft. You know what I mean? So, it's a lot of picking and choosing our battles, for everybody. That's what we do as people, that's how our brains work, we're picking and choosing a lot. We're
Absolutely.
picky and choosy people.
We all are. We're real picky. Pinkies up.
It's the truth,
But
bottom
I'm telling
line.
you right now, I feel like we had a really awesome conversation, guys, and like I really want to outstretch the memo to the world here. This show, we are trying to outreach to creators who feel unseen, artists that might be questioning their own path because we've all been there. Um, Anyone standing on the edge of wanting to start something new, this show is for you. I mean, it doesn't have to necessarily be art, but like
Talk about all
we've
kinds
all
of
been in
things.
those stages in life where we're like, you know what? Do we want to do this? What's the purpose? I'm not rich yet, but if it brings you happiness, brings you joy, or if you're excited about diving headfirst into something new, this
For
show is
sure.
this show is for you, and I think you're going to enjoy it. And I hope
Want
you
to jump
enjoy
on as a guest?
participation.
Jump
Dive
on as a
in.
guest as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
True.
If you guys are interested in jumping in the guest, where do they got to go, guys?
hmm Well, there's multiple different spots.
Oh yeah,
I know,
so
like
the blank dive at gmail.com. If you're interested in being in a future episode and have us interview, you guys can tell us a little bit about your art craft. It doesn't matter what you are, as long as it's art related, filmmaker, author, painter, musician, you name it. If you have stuff you'd like to showcase and have an interview on the show, we'd love to have you in future episodes. However,
Absolutely.
next week's episode, we got broken pencils and scrap paper for episode 2. We're going to
Yeah.
talk a lot about the writing process.
Good.
We're going to talk about rough drafts. We're going to talk about the importance of edits. We're going to talk about that ever so crazy writer's block and how
Absolutely.
we have gotten out of it. And,
everyone
you
gets
know,
it.
writer's
Yeah.
block is a very challenging thing, but I'm telling you right now, we've all experienced it as creators. So
Over a year, man. Writer's block. I had it for over a year, man. Like, it's pretty
yeah.
bad.
So we're gonna dive into that next week, guys. And remember to like, subscribe, share, and
Please.
absolutely,
Comment.
guys. And always remember, This is the blank dive, guys.
Dive
Until
in.
next week, we're
Peace
down
out.
and out.